Hi guys, welcome to my channel Lush Gardener. I hope you guys are fine and are safe. In this video, I'm going to show you another DIY succulent soil mix that you can try it out at home. Now this is not aquarium sand, but this is construction sand. Now basically you have two types of sand. One is a river sand which is brown in color, and this is probably a fine gravel that has been broken down into very small piece, and it tends to look a lot like sand, but the color is gray as you can see over here. Now guys, remember this does contain a lot of dust. You have to ensure that when you're doing this process you use a mask, because there is a lot of dust that can irritate you, so be careful when you're handling this. Now over here I am taking the sand. I found this in the storeroom, probably it was left behind and I didn't want it to waste it, and I thought I'm going to make a video on this. You might have come across this kind of soil in a lot of construction areas, especially wherein there are a lot of new buildings that are coming up. You will find this kind of construction gray sand. So it's very important that you need to filter, because it has a lot of this fine sand. Now if you're going to use this sand as it is, then the soil will get compact. In fact, it might even turn like concrete kind of a material. So be very careful. You have to filter it. You have to filter everything out, all of the dust. Do it once, do it twice, but try to get rid of all the dust that is present in this mix. Now you also notice when I added the soil in this net, you seen the amount of quantity that was present, but now it's almost 1/4. That is because a majority of the material is fine dust. That is the reason why it is used in the construction site, because it tends to blend very well with cement and it becomes really strong. So you have to ensure that you get rid of every fine dust from this. Now the next thing what we're going to do is I'm going to collect it in this container. The next thing what we have to do is we need to wash. So this is how the material what I found in the bag. It has a lot of dust. Usually it does not have so much dust, but probably it was already filtered once, and this is what I got. But again, whatever little amount we have, I do not want to waste it. I want to make good use of it. Now over here, as you can see, this is how it tends to look like. Again, there is a lot of dust still present in this. So the next thing what we need to do is we need to wash this. Now guys, this is the most difficult part, because you need to wash it until you tend to see that the water is clear. Probably once and twice you will find the water is still very cloudy. Again, maybe the third, maybe the fourth time, you will also tend to see that the water is still cloudy. So once you start seeing that the water is getting clear, that means you're good to go and you can then use it for your mix. But ensure that you dry the soil and then use it. So this is my first wash. You can see the water is very cloudy. There are a lot of dirt particles in this water. So I have to keep rinsing until and unless I tend to see that the water is getting clear. So I'm going to go ahead and keep washing it, and I'm going to get back and show it to you how it tends to look like when the water is clear. Now remember guys, it's going to waste a lot of water, so ensure that you collect a good amount of sand. Here it is just for an example. I'm showing it to you in a very small quantity because I have a lot more. It is probably going to take me an hour to filter all of that dust. So I'm just giving you an example over here. You have to clean it completely. Keep washing it, and I'm going to show it to you how it tends to look like once it's completely clean. So now I'm pretty much done. You can see the water is much more clear this time. I'm going to do a last wash, and then I'm going to put the soil out to dry in the sun. I'm going to put it out in afternoon direct sunlight so that the sand can get heated and it gets warm. And in case if there are any harmful things in this sand, it will just die off. Now I'm not sure there's going to be anything in this soil, because this is just like small grinded particles of stone. So this is the amount of material that I'm still left with, which I have to still go ahead and filter. It's going to take almost another 1 hour or so. So this is how it tends to look like. So once you're done with this, all you have to do is just put it out in the sun. You can see this is how the gravel is going to look like. Now guys, you won't believe I have used this material even for my gravel in the aquarium. I was running out of sand, and that's when I had a good amount of this grey gravel available at my place, and I had used it for my aquarium, and my fish were doing quite well. So as far as I know, this is not going to harm your plants. I have used it for my sempervivums as well. They were doing quite well. Even in my aquarium, I have used this as a gravel, and it tends to work out really well. So there is nothing to be worried. You can see it's very, very granular. This is something that would work out really well, especially if you do not have aquarium sand. Now guys, after putting it out in afternoon direct sunlight, this is how it tends to look like. Now I was initially worried if this is going to get heated up, but it did not get heated up. It was slightly warm, and that's how even your regular sand will also get warm if it is exposed to afternoon direct sunlight. So it is slightly warm, but it's not hot. I thought probably because it's gravel, it might get heated up, but it's not very hot. And you can see how free flowing this soil is. It looks exactly like aquarium sand. It has a good amount of granules. So this is going to make your soil mix very loose. Now the next thing what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in our garden soil, which I tend to use. This is going to be my regular garden soil. It does not have any compost. It does not have any vermicompost. It is just a normal garden soil which you will find anywhere. But I have gone ahead and filtered the garden soil as well. I have taken out all the dust, just like how you seen when I was trying to filter this sand. The same way I have filtered my garden soil as well. And over here, as you can see, I'm trying to take the larger pieces of the garden soil. Now, unfortunately, I do not have the exact measurements of this portion. Like, I'm not very sure whether this is 80% or 20%. What usually I tend to do for my aquarium sand, I use 80% and 20% garden soil. But over here, this grey gravel is very, very gritty, and it tends to dry out much faster. So here, what I would suggest is it's all up your decision when you tend to make the mix. Just feel the mix, and you need to understand whether it's going to work out or no. If you feel that the soil has too much of the grey sand, then you can add a little bit more of garden soil. And if you feel that the garden soil is more, then you can add a little bit more of the grey sand. So what I would suggest is keep the grey sand on the larger portion and the garden soil and the lesser portion. Now guys, as you can see, I have almost added all of my garden soil in this mix, but I can still notice that it still has more amount of the grey sand. So I think this mix is going to work out really well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put it onto the tray because it's going to be much easier for you to see. It's very difficult to understand the mix in this bowl, so I'm going to just transfer it into a tray. So this is how the mix tends to look like. You can see it's very, very gritty, very loose, very porous. It still has the traces of garden soil. At the same time, it's not compact. It does not get compact. It's very, very free flowing. And these rocks are the ones that are from the garden soil. A lot of times these tend to break down, but there are a lot of these pieces that tend to remain very hard. And this is going to make the soil even more gritty. So this is how the soil tends to look like. You can see when you tend to make the soil, try to make the soil something that looks like this. You still need to see the traces of the grey sand, because if you're going to add too much of garden soil with fine dust, then even this gritty mix can get hard. So you have to ensure that you filter out all of the fine dust. So now we are almost done. You can see the mix is very, very free flowing. This is the kind of texture or the type of soil you need to have for your succulents. So this is how the mix looks like. This is how the end result looks like. Now it's time to go ahead and repot. Now I'm using my papercrete pot over here. I'll just make the drain hole a little bit bigger because it looks like it's almost collapsing. It looks like it's very small. So I'm just going to make the drain hole slightly bigger because it's very important. Every succulent needs to be in a well draining pot. That is the reason why our soil has to be well draining. If there is no drain hole or if there is no drainage in your pot, then there is no point of making a well draining soil. So now I'm just going to add a piece of stone, because if you're not going to do this, all of your soil mix is going to pass through the drain hole. So ensure that you put something that can stop the soil from flowing out. So this is how my mix tends to look like. Very gritty, very porous. I'm sure my succulents are going to love. So now it's time to get in the succulents. So the cuttings that I'm going to be using here are some of my Graptoveria marpin and Graptoveria titubans. These are the varieties of succulents that I had done stem cuttings. They all have calloused, so the stems are dry. And now I'm going to be putting them into this soil. Now, as you can see, the roots are still not present, but I think because the soil is very gritty, they will be able to root easily. Again guys, I have made a video on mountain soil which I am going to give you an update very soon. So I will also give you an update on this soil as well. So I can make a video on both of the soil updates and I'm going to put it in one video so it will help you much better. Now guys, another important thing, if you feel that this soil mix tends to dry really fast, then what you can do is you can add 1 inch, just 1 inch layer of regular soil, filtered regular soil on the top layer in case if your soil tends to dry faster. But if it doesn't tend to dry faster, if it's like drying out normally, then it's absolutely fine. You can just leave your mix as it is. So guys, this is how my arrangement tends to look like. I will definitely give you an update. Right now, none of these cuttings have any roots. They have only calloused, so there are no roots present on this. I will take out the succulents when I'm doing the update video to show you if the roots are present or no. As of now, there are no roots present on these succulents. So guys, if you still have any concerns or if you're still very nervous about using this kind of soil mix, please don't be worried. You can wait for some time. I will give you an update and then you can decide whether you want to make this mix or not. So I hope that you liked this video. If you did, please hit the like button. If you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing to it. Until then, take care, stay safe and keep propagating.